everyone, welcome to class with Professor Mead. Today we're going to be talking about the syllabus and how this course is organized. So this course includes lectures. Our Canvas organization is in Canvas modules. My modules are organized weekly. They include your reading, if it's not in a textbook. So it's either a chapter or an article. Discussion assignments, which are qualitative discussion questions. Active learning activities, which are assignments that are different styles of learning, quizzes, and exams. The due date for assignment is Sunday, 2 p.m. It's always due the same day every single week. It's always due at the same time every single week. So you only have to know that one date, with the exception of the final. The finals for Cal State Long Beach are assigned date and time by the university, and they're a different day and time than your class, almost always. So please keep that in mind as the semester moves forward. Make sure that you make accommodations for that. Your teachers can't move the date and time of the final to your convenience. So due dates and times are always for my class, Sunday, 2 p.m. I do have a late work policy. It's 10% per day late or any portion thereof, which means that if you're an hour late or 2 minutes late, it's 10%. Most assignments are worth 10 points. That means 1 out of 10, so 1 point deduction per day late. If you're 1 day late, up to 24 hours, it's 1 point. If you're 5 days late, it would be 5 points. I do have an academic honesty policy. So my academic honesty policy is this: don't cheat. Don't plagiarize if you're getting answers from other classmates, if you're using AI, ChatGPT to get your answers, if you're copying and pasting from the internet or from my PowerPoint that I wrote, that is considered plagiarism. It can result in an F in the assignment, an F in the class, or being reported, or all of the above. So please don't do that. Grade issues and FERPA. So if you don't know what FERPA is, it's a policy that basically says your grades need to be, we need to hold a level of privacy for your grades, which means that I don't want to be emailing about your grades back and forth. I create something in my Canvas within modules. It's always going to be at the top. It might be helpful to you to open up Canvas to this course to kind of look right now. And you'll see a thing that says FERPA grade issues and personal concerns. That is a place where if you want me to talk to you about your specific grade, I'd ask the question there. Or if you want to give me your BMAC accommodations, or if you have documentation for accommodations because you're an athlete, you would also want to submit it there so you can upload files there, and then just write me a little note. Hey, these are my BMAC accommodations. Thanks, blah, blah, blah. This will be under your name, under your grading criteria within grades. It's saved in the course permanently, so as long as that course platform is up there, it'll be in there. So even after the semester closes, it's still within that. I do understand that they email them to us. It's up to you. It's your responsibility to advocate for yourself and make sure that you notify me. Even if they're emailing me, because I get a variety of emails, they don't say often which class. You have students from a variety of classes, you have a variety of students. A lot of professors teach at multiple colleges, and so you're getting all these emails everywhere. So it's not the best method of delivery. So please keep in mind that the best method of delivery for this class is to post your information there, and then just write me a quick little note. Hey, these are my accommodations. Thanks. And that's it. And then next time I do grading, I can go in there and add your accommodations and make sure that it's in there. It's permanent and safe. If you want to ask me a question about an assignment, for example, you need clarification, just go through Canvas communication. But if you want me to talk about your grade, make sure you go through FERPA grade questions and personal concerns. That way your nosy aunt or your invasive mom or dad can't be asking me questions via email about your grade without your permission. So how's this class formatted, and or what's an asynchronous class? So you may or may not be in an asynchronous class. This might be one, and it may be your first time. Asynchronous means that it's not done together, which means that I'm not going to hold lectures for you through Zoom. So there's no specific meeting time for this class. This class is set up so that you can take the class at your own pace. All of the lectures are pre-recorded and uploaded to YouTube so that you can access them at your convenience at any time. All of the Canvas weekly work is organized into weekly modules, and so you will notice that it is a lecture and discussion questions in your discussion assignment, and the video lectures embedded in there. You'll notice a file for reading if you don't have a textbook. You'll notice weekly assignments, quizzes, and then maybe a midterm and a final, and those will be in their own week as well. So every single week, as long as you go into the modules page, you'll see what you need to do for the full week. That's often the best way to access your information so that you don't miss anything and you're not confused. Calendars is not an appropriate way to get your work done, especially in online classes. How should you contact me? So if you have a grade question or BMAC or athletic documentation, please make sure you go through Canvas modules, FERPA grade questions, and personal concerns. If you just want clarification on something, or you just need to talk to me about something, Canvas communications. If you are going to be absent or you need to turn in late work, you do not need to email me, you do not need to message me. Just turn your work in late and or be absent. And the exception to that is if you're going to be absent for 2 weeks or not turn in work for 2 weeks, then you need to contact me through Canvas communication, and let me know what's going on. If there's like maybe a family issue or a crisis or an emergency, you need to let me know that you're going to be absent. But if you're going to miss one day, no big deal. I take role in in-person classes, and I know who's there and who's not. Email is the least effective way to get a hold of me. So I only check my email about once a week, and that's because it's not on my phone. My work emails are not on my phone. I teach at 2 schools, and I can't have both schools in, because of the way that the emails are. I can't access both of those emails through my phone. So I don't have access to my work emails on my phone, so I only check them about once a week. So if you're trying to really not get a hold of me, email is probably the best way. Canvas communication or the FERPA grade questions and personal concerns. Those get checked more often. What's the grading criteria for this class? You'll notice that I have a rubric for every assignment, and it's in the assignment. I tell you the instructions, and then I tell you how I grade. So make sure you follow that, because I mean it, right? So make sure you follow each one of those grading criteria if you want to get the best grade possible. And then my grading system is weighted. So we have qualitative discussion questions, active learning assignments, quizzes, and exams. So the qualitative grading questions and the assignments are supposed to be your first introduction to the material. And so those tend to be weighted in total, all of them, either 10, it's usually 10, 15, or 20% of your total grade. And that's because I'm more lenient on that type of grading because it's your first attempt at or your first practice at. So by the time you take the quiz, you should have already engaged with the material at least 3 times. And so that's going to be weighted a little bit more heavily. It's 30% for all your quizzes altogether. And then each one of your exams is generally 30%, totaling 100%. How's the class and Canvas organized? I think we kind of covered that. We basically said it's weekly modules, so just make sure you follow through that. You can go to the home page and you'll see that. And every single week I do a reading. So you want to do the reading first. I do a video lecture or an in-person lecture, and then I give you the qualitative questions, follow along the lecture and answer those questions, do your active learning assignments, and then take your quiz and be prepared for your exam. So what are these active learning and assignments that we're talking about? So all of us have different types of learning styles. One of them tends to be kind of dominant for each person, but everybody's different. So if you remember, like back to kindergarten, you probably learned your ABCs through a song, right? The ABC song. And that's musical auditory learning, right? Why do they teach us the ABCs with the song? Because our brains remember music, auditory music systems a little bit better than just reciting, right? Um, there's also visual and verbal. There's auditory. So most of us are not auditory learners. When you listen to a lecture, that's auditory learning. Oh, I can listen to the lecture and just remember. You're an auditory learner. That's about 1 to 2% of you, right? So this class is designed so that it gives everybody else who's not the auditory learner also an opportunity to learn. So most of us are comfortable and accustomed to auditory learning, but it's not the most common way, it's not the most common dominant style of learning for people. So this class gives us the opportunity to be verbal learners. That's what the flips are about. If you say it, you'll remember it, right? So practice saying in the flip, and that will help you remember. Or if you're a physical kinesthetic learner, like say for example, you're the kind of person who you are more likely to remember how to get somewhere, directions to your favorite restaurant because you drove there as opposed to sitting in the passenger seat, right? That's because you're more likely a physical kinesthetic learner. Are you the kind of person who likes to have everything organized and color coded and outlined? You might be a logical mathematical learner. Are you the kind of person who likes to have group study sessions? You might be a social learner. So sometimes in this class, you'll see an assignment and you're like, why? Why am I doing this? And by the way, I do put why, right? So for example, I might have you do a vision board or a visual aid board. Take these 10 definitions and give me a picture for each one of the definitions. What this allows you to do is it allows your brain to think about and contemplate that definition and then connect it to something visually. And so you're engaging with that material in kind of a fun, easy way for most of us, but you're actually learning the information. And so this, style of assignment might not be your favorite style of assignment, but it could be your classmate's favorite style. So keep in mind that we're here for everybody to learn as opposed to just focusing on myself and my favorite way of learning or my favorite way of teaching, right? So if I understand most people think, okay, your teacher has to lecture to teach. Lecturing's not always the most effective way of teaching. Sometimes it is the easiest way to disseminate information, but it's not the easiest way to retain information. So in this course, what we do is I try to give you 5 opportunities to engage with the material before you ever take your exam. So the first is the reading. When you get to that chapter or that article, casually read. Just casually read through that article. Don't try to memorize things. Just try to read the article. Then listen, get your discussion questions ready. Sit down and listen to the lecture and watch the PowerPoint provided in class or in the online video within the module, and try to answer the questions that I'm giving you for those qualitative questions. That's your second time that you've engaged with the material. You'll also catch on to what the professor thinks is important regarding the reading, right? So now you'll remember what you read as opposed to trying to hear and remember the lecture, it being the first time that you hear that information, it's now the second time you heard that information. So you're more likely to remember. Then discussion questions assignments and active learning assignments. So now we might go back, look at those questions and answers, look at the activities, re-engage with that material. We've already read about it, we've already heard about it, and now we might be doing small assignments associated with it. So then that's the third time we've engaged with that material. It takes our brain at least 3 times for it to say, oh, this might be important. We've now touched upon this 3 times. Maybe I should remember it. It really takes our brain that many times before it's like, I don't need to, I can just throw this away, right? If we only encounter something once, our brain is like kind of flushes it. It says, it's probably not important. That's the first time I've ever heard that, right? But if it encounters something 3, 4, 5 times, it starts to say, maybe I need to remember this. So then by the time you hit the quiz, that's the 4th time you've engaged with that material. So now our brain is definitely paying attention and we're ready for that final exam or that essay exam. And by the time that gets there, you don't need to do a ton of studying because you've essentially done your studying by reading, listening to the lecture, doing the assignments, and doing the weekly quizzes. So I want to show you this. This is called the cone of learning. And it's how we actually tend to learn or remember things. So after 2 weeks, we tend to remember about 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we see and hear. That's why you can remember the video you watched 2 weeks ago, but not the lecture your professor gave yesterday. 70% of what you say, those flips videos, if you're saying, the definition or the concept or giving your opinion on something, you're not going to probably remember that the teacher told you that if you just heard it, but you will remember that you said it. So saying it is learning it. And then 90% of what we say and do, which is why it sounds like your professors know what they're talking about. It's because they know what they're talking about because they've given that lecture over and over again. So they really know that information. That's why when you give a presentation in a class, you also really learn that particular chapter, right? 90% of what you say and do. I hope this gets you on board with some of the different learning styles because it really is a fun and different way to learn. And it is definitely learning, right? So getting started in Canvas. Open up Canvas, take a look at week 1 and week 2, get yourself prepared for how kind of the technical stuff, the syllabus, the expectations of the course, and then get started. And you will see everything's nicely outlined and organized in weekly modules. I'm definitely that kind of learner, so I like to have everything organized. And you will see if you go into the discussion questions assignment, within there you will find the video lectures. Do your reading, watch the video lectures, answer those qualitative questions with all earnest effort, and do your assignments, take your quiz. And then move through that process. And as you move through that process, you will get through that Canvas course and you will be done. I hope this helps and I hope you enjoyed this first little lecture. Thank you very much for being in this class, and I hope to see you soon in class or in a flip or just online doing your assignments and we can get to know each other. Thank you. Have a great day.